1. Economic competition trade tensions. Despite some attempts at negotiation, trade disputes between the U.S. and China are likely to persist, particularly in key sectors like semiconductors, renewable energy, and pharmaceuticals. The U.S. will continue to impose tariffs and restrictions on Chinese goods and technology exports. China will double down on its self-reliant strategy under its dual circulation policy, focusing on strengthening its domestic market while maintaining selective international trade. Supply chain realignments. The U.S. will work with allies to diversify supply chains and reduce dependence on China, particularly in critical industries like semiconductors, rare earth minerals, and healthcare products. China will seek to dominate global manufacturing and supply chains through its Belt and Road Initiative, BRI, and by fostering stronger ties with developing nations. Technological decoupling. Both nations will deepen efforts to decouple technologically, leading to the rise of parallel systems in areas like telecommunications, 5G, 6G, operating systems, and financial transaction networks. China may accelerate the development of its homegrown chip industry, while the U.S. invests heavily in domestic semiconductor production and AI innovation. 2. Military and security dynamics. South China Sea. The South China Sea will remain a hotspot. China will continue militarizing disputed islands and asserting its claims through its maritime militia and naval patrols. The U.S., through freedom of navigation operations and military partnerships with regional allies like the Philippines, Japan, and Australia, will aim to counter China's aggression. Taiwan will likely be the most sensitive flashpoint. China may intensify its military drills and political pressure on Taiwan, while the U.S. strengthens its arms sales and diplomatic ties with Taipei. A direct military conflict is unlikely but not impossible. Both sides will seek to avoid escalation, knowing the catastrophic consequences of war. Military modernization. China's People's Liberation Army, PLA, will advance its modernization efforts, focusing on AI-driven warfare, hypersonic missiles, and space-based capabilities. The U.S. will prioritize maintaining its technological and logistical military edge, expanding cooperation with allies in the Indo-Pacific region. Third, technological rivalry. Artificial intelligence, AI. The U.S. and China will compete for leadership in AI research, with both nations pouring massive investments into military and civilian applications. Ethical debates and international regulations on AI may become battlegrounds for influence, with each side promoting its vision of responsible AI use. Quantum computing. China's rapid advancements in quantum computing and communication technologies may challenge U.S. dominance, particularly in fields like cryptography and defense systems. The U.S. will aim to lead in quantum technologies by fostering private sector innovation and international collaboration. Space exploration. Space will become an increasingly contested domain, with China advancing its lunar-based plans and deep space exploration missions. The U.S., through NASA and private companies like SpaceX, will maintain its focus on Mars exploration, space resource utilization, and defending satellites against potential threats. Fourth, ideological contest: democracy versus authoritarianism. The U.S. will position itself as a defender of democracy, seeking to rally allies against China's authoritarian model. Initiatives like the Summit for Democracy may gain more prominence. China will promote its governance model as an alternative to Western democracy, emphasizing economic development, political stability, and technological control. This ideological divide will shape global narratives, influencing developing countries and multilateral institutions. Media and propaganda. Both nations will intensify their use of media and information campaigns to shape public opinion globally. The U.S. will highlight human rights abuses in Xinjiang, Hong Kong, and Tibet, while China criticizes U.S. foreign interventions in domestic issues like racial inequality. Fifth, regional alliances and influence. Indo-Pacific strategy. The U.S. will continue to expand the Quad, U.S., India, Japan, and Australia, and strengthen its ties with ASEAN nations to counter China's influence in the Indo-Pacific. Military exercises, economic partnerships, and infrastructure projects will be key tools for the U.S. to solidify its presence. Belt and Road Initiative, BRI. China will expand the BRI, targeting investments in Africa, South Asia, and Latin America. While some nations may benefit from China's infrastructure projects, others may grow wary of debt dependence, creating openings for U.S. counter-initiatives. Europe's Balancing Act. European nations will be cautious in taking sides, seeking economic benefits from both nations while aligning with the U.S. on security issues. 6. Climate change and energy collaboration and competition. Both nations will face pressure to lead on climate action. The U.S. will push for global renewable energy transitions through initiatives like rejoining the Paris Agreement, while China promotes itself as a leader in solar and wind energy production. Critical minerals race. The competition for resources like lithium and rare earth minerals, essential for renewable technologies, will intensify. The U.S. will seek to secure supplies from allies, while China dominates the mining and processing industries globally. 7. Cybersecurity and espionage. Cyber warfare. Both nations will escalate their cyber capabilities, targeting each other's government systems, corporations, and infrastructure. China may continue leveraging cyber attacks for intellectual property theft, while the U.S. focuses on cyber defenses and retaliatory measures. Digital sovereignty. The U.S. will push for global data standards while China strengthens its Great Firewall and promotes its vision of state-controlled internet governance. 8. Global leadership and multilateralism. United Nations and global institutions. Both nations will vie for influence within global organizations like the UN, WTO, and WHO. The U.S. will advocate for reforms that align with democratic values, while China pushes for greater representation of developing nations aligned with its interests. Global South influence. The U.S. will attempt to rebuild ties with the Global South through aid and trade initiatives, countering China's dominance in Africa and Latin America. China will leverage its economic clout to deepen partnerships, often with fewer political conditions than Western nations. Conclusion. By 2025, the U.S.-China relationship will remain defined by intense competition, but with occasional cooperation on global challenges like climate change and pandemics. The rivalry will influence nearly every aspect of global politics, economics, and security, shaping a world increasingly divided into spheres of influence. Both nations will aim to assert their dominance while avoiding direct conflict, navigating a complex web of alliances, competition, and diplomacy. Would you like a deeper analysis of a specific aspect, such as Taiwan, technology, or trade relations?